On this episode of my so-called podcast, we'll be going back to July 18th, 1991.
That's right. We're going to talk about the album Woodface from the band Crowded House and the movie Trust from writer-director Hal Hartley.
Like the past. The movie never changes. It can't change, but every time you see it, it seems different because you're different. You see different things.
Hey, welcome to my so-called podcast. I am Gary Linton.
And I'm Eric Spiegel.
Hey, Eric. How you doing?
Oh, Gary, I'm doing all right.
All
This
right.
is later than we usually start recording, and that's on me tonight.
Well, yeah.
So,
Well, I don't think the listener cares.
It's a conversational podcast, Gary, where everybody kind of feels like they're, part of the crew. And you are, listener.
I guess you're right. This is a podcast where we go back to a week in the 90s and we talk about an album and a movie that were released that week. This week?
Yeah, we're going back to July 18th, 1991, and that's when we got the release in theaters of Hal Hartley's Trust.
Yeah, wide
got
release.
The wide in quotation marks.
Right,
64
yeah, exactly.
screens or something, probably. Wide art house release, probably, of Trust. And Crowded House's third album, Woodface. They both came out roughly in the same week.
Yeah.
There's, if you want to do some internet sleuthing, listener, you're going to see that they're not quite the same week. Actually, I do think we've gotten some comments about things being far apart whenever we cheat and do like the Chinese VHS release of stuff. I think Honey, We Shrunk the Kids coming out in 1989 kind of made some people a little perturbed.
Oh, sure. Well, you know what?
Fudge. We were fudging decades there.
Yeah, well, right. That's, because, that's not even, some people think 1990 is the end of the 80s. So we shouldn't even be doing that. But I disagree with that. So.
Well, we get to define the podcast because we pay for the Squarespace thing.
That's right.
And the other hosting thing, and we spend our time making it, whereas they're just listening.
That's right. Yeah.
Why do they get an opinion? Screw them.
Hey, listeners, screw you.
and by that I mean you're on the team. And
yeah,
it's
exactly.
gentle joshing that I'm giving you, because you're on the team. That's how you know I like you. I'm like the Don Rickles of podcasters.
Yeah, you hockey puck. So, all right.
Don Rickles, this is topical.
All right. We kind of start to set off talking about the 90s by doing a little trivia. Eric, you don't have anything to say about 1991, do you?
I know that you really don't want me to. Would this be the summer between 7th and 8th grade, I guess?
I think that's correct, yes.
I literally do not have any memories. Oh, you know what? I do have some sort of very, very mild memories of Naked Gun 2 being out.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves being out. These were things that I wanted to go see in the theater this summer, I think, but had to wait for the VHS, 8 months later. But I sort of remember that. But I was at an age where I couldn't make it happen at the movies just whenever I wanted to. I had to wait around for everybody, critical mass of family members.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's how young I was. But I really don't remember what I was doing that summer at all. It's hard to...
I know what you were doing that summer. I know what you did that summer. Killed somebody.
Yeah, did you? Oh, no. I didn't. I did walk around in one of those fishing raincoats all the time so people couldn't see my face.
That's right. Well, you wanted to be the Morton's fisherman. That's
Right,
what you were
yeah.
applying for.
Well, I was practicing. I had a job interview with Morton's in the fall.
That's right.
Anyway, no, I don't really remember. We had a babysitter. I probably watched too much television.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of Letterman back then. So I'd watch Letterman basically every night of the week that it was on, including the rerun on Friday.
Oh, right. Was he?
or Monday or whatever it was.
Well, all right. Yeah.
No, Friday would be the big musical guest, I imagine.
We will go ahead and transition into trivia so that everyone else can get into that 1991 state of mind. The score.
Assuming you can't remember anything from 91 summer.
I don't remember any. I don't think I remember anything from 1991.
Did you go away to camp or anything?
No,
ever?
I never did any camp or anything like that.
Did you ever watch The Parent Trap? They go to camp.
Oh, I did watch the original Parent Trap. That was
With
something...
Haley Mills and Haley Mills.
Yeah, yep, and Haley Mills. There's three of them.
Just two.
No,
Just
right.
two.
And then the Parent
Two of them
Trap...
were twins, and the other one was a special effect.
Oh, okay. And then the Parent Trap 2, I remember that one where...
Was that Haley Mills?
That's also Haley Mills. It's like she's one of the grown-up. It says her as a grown-up, and her daughters are...
Oh, was that on the Disney Channel,
yep,
maybe?
Disney
I think that might have
Channel.
been made for the Disney
I
Channel.
think
No, I
so.
never watched that. But I did watch the Lindsay Lohan, or Lohan, or whatever, however you say her name, one where she was just cute as a button as her own sister.
Yep,
Dennis Quaid, I think, was the dad.
Yeah, Dennis Quaid was the dad. Yep.
Kid actors, cute as a button.
That's right. And then they grow up. Yep. And become Haley Joel Osment.
Although Haley Joel Osment is pretty cool.
He's cool, but he's not very cute anymore.
That's true. Elijah Wood beat the odds. He's sort of a weird-looking adult, but he makes it work for himself.
Yep. And,
it's like, I'm a stinking hobbit. I'm in a bunch of weird horror movies that I produce.
That's right.
Deal with it.
Sin City.
I like to ride around on my mobile scooter thingy with a cigarette hanging out of my mouth. Have you seen that picture?
No, I haven't seen that one.
He's wearing like a sort of hipster clothes with a hipster mustache with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and he's riding one of those Lime scooters.
Yeah.
And, they made it into a meme where it's like, one does not simply walk into Mordor.
Yes. That's right.
What were we talking about? Oh,
trivia
of 91.
Yeah,
Trivia
the
of 91.
score is...
You're winning 7-5.
Yep, I am.
So you ask me first, I guess?
I will. What animated family typically kicks off each show by kicking back on the couch in their evergreen terrace home?
I mean, that is such a softball question.
Yes, it was.
I'm going to go with, lots of sitcoms do have a couch, but this episode beginning couch is The Simpsons.
That's correct. You are correct, Eric.
Archie had a chair.
That's true. And let's see, any other famous couches? Maybe the Jeffersons?
Probably the Friends couch is kind of famous.
Yeah.
The one in Monica's apartment.
Oh, yeah.
And they have one at
Cafe Par. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of when you said the couch.
Yeah, that's interesting that they just turned a coffee shop into the normal sitcom set with that couch, and it totally worked because a lot of chunky couches were happening at Starbucks at the time.
Right. Yep. It was really of the time.
Yeah.
The 90s.
For a decade.
Yep.
Let's see. What? Who learned English just 2 years before her Oscar-winning Beauty and the Beast duet?
I don't know who did that duet for, I guess, Celine Dion, maybe? I don't know. Oh wow!
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Celine Dion did the end credits Beauty and the Beast song over, the one that the Whole New World. There's like Peebo Bryson was that one over the end credits. Elton John sings over the end of The Lion King. Not my favorite trend actually out of that period. I kind of liked just the normal songs playing over the credits of The Little Mermaid. They could have stayed with that but they didn't even think about me, let alone ask my opinion.
Right, which I think, especially in the 1991 era, it's like, hey, let's go ask this adolescent boy in St. Louis.
Right,
what
he
thinks.
actually has a hard time getting to the movies
exactly.
most of the time. So let's see what he's all about.
Right. Okay, Eric. What company? Come on, sorry, I'm having a hard time with my card here. What company calls its head flavor developer a primal ice cream therapist?
I would say Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, you would say the correct answer then.
Yeah. They were sort of one of the first companies that acted like they weren't a company.
Right.
Like kind of too cool for school, like Google and, those places like we're a brewery, but we have a slide,
That's right. Yeah, he's a he's a primal ice cream therapist.
Yeah.
Not a head flavor developer.
I mean, whatever. You got to call the person something, and it's fine if it's funny. Although I'm sure after like a month, it's like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe my job should be kind of normal sounding for like my resume or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's fun.
Right. Why do you need to put it on your resume? You're not going anywhere.
What alternative rockers? Those rockers.
Yeah, the alternative rocker. Yeah.
What alternative rockers helped launch the first Lollapalooza as their goodbye concert tour?
Well, I think that was a previous My So-Called Podcast band that we talked about. Maybe it was 2 episodes ago. Jane's Addiction.
And you're right. We did just do that. But I would not have remembered that. Now that I read the question, I'm like, oh, yeah, I think Nick said something about that. But I'll be honest.
Well, in
the history of Jane's Addiction, I zone out a little bit.
Sure. Well, and I knew Lollapalooza was Perry Farrell's thing. That was his thing.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think I was aware of that. I was aware of Lollapalooza being kind of a big deal. But I don't think I was inside baseball. I didn't have a subscription to Rolling Stone at that point, so I don't know where I would have gotten that.
Well, you should have
maybe from a friend.
Should have had a brother who was a college age brother.
Older brother. Yeah. That helps. Yeah.
Not that Greg Greg doesn't like Jane's Addiction though either. So.
Right, but you would talk to him. You would lay in the bed in the dark, listening to an album, and maybe talk about.
Well, he definitely had
There's going to be a Lollapalooza.
He had Rolling Stone, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Eric, your final question here is: what member of George Bush's administration boasted that the Gulf War was a stirring victory for the forces of aggression?
A stirring victory for the forces of aggression?
Yep.
Dan Quayle?
That is correct. Way to run the table.
I was going to go with Herbert Walker, but then I remembered we used to call Dan Quayle the stupidest guy in the White House. Remember that?
I do.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, there's been stupider people in the White House.
Yep. Like people that Dan Quayle could teach a thing or two.
Exactly,
sure.
That's right. Dan Quayle could hold his head up high compared to...
I mean, he was no Jack Kennedy.
No, exactly.
But he was Dan Quayle. And, our standards are much lower now.
That's right. So you don't know how to...
without, honestly, this isn't a political podcast, but just thinking about it, like Trump was really, really bad, but Mike Pence is really awful too. He's one of the worst people to be in the White House too.
Yeah.
But just like by comparison, seems like a normal politician.
Right.
But if you just look at him by himself, he's a dirtbag.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, this has been the Chapo Trap House.
Yeah.
Probably not. I don't know. Some other political podcast. This is your Rachel Maddow podcast. I don't know.
Eric, I think I have one last question, and then we'll go on to the top 10 singles.
Okay, and we'll stop with the politics.
Yeah.
What outfit hyped its server technology with the snarky slogan, "We're the dot in .com"?
What outfit
hyped its server technology? So we're looking for a server company.
Yeah.
The snarky slogan, "We're the dot."
I'm gonna go with Cisco, maybe. I guess that's wrong. No. Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Scary how wrong you are. No, I mean, I think you were pretty close. It's Sun Microsystems.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think that was a good guess, Gary, but that's still a net gain for me.
Yep,
3 for me.
Yep. So 9-8 is our score right now. All right, so yeah.
Real barn burner.
We played
that a lot.
Yep. So, all right. These are the songs that were playing on the radio when Crowded House's third album, Woodface, was released to the world. Number 10, Just Another Day by John Cicada. Those cicadas are... those cicadas are really causing a problem this year.
Yeah, that's John Cicada. It doesn't have anything to do with that game.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he's... I think it's Cicada, too.
Probably.
It's just about to make it through forever. I'll tell you, one thing about John Cicada is that his music was so non-threatening, I never even thought of it as an actual romance song. It was just sort of like the kind of music that was on in great clips.
Yeah.
But I guess there are some people that thought of it as like really romantic, maybe? I don't know.
I think they probably had it play at their wedding.
I really doubt that. There's like people like, and for your first dance, Just Another Day by John Cicada.
I think John Cicada probably had it played at his wedding. Number 9.
Man, that'd be awkward.
Nope. That's how.
Let's play our favorite song, honey, and the wife's like, "Oh my God, brother."
Yesterday by the Beatles.
Color My World by Chicago.
Exactly.
Okay, so Just Another Day was 10.
Yeah, number 9, Wishing on a Star by the Covergirls.
Do you remember that one?
Nope.
I know Waiting for a Star to Fall.
Okay, I'm glad you know that song.
Different. I think we've heard this beginning before. We should remember these. Are you hearing this awesome keyboard?
Yep.
Okay, whatever. No, and the next time this is in the top 10, I'm still not going to remember it.
No, it's completely forgettable.
What do you got next?
Number 8 is If You Asked Me To by Celine Dion, previously mentioned on this podcast.
In my life, and forever, if you ask me to.
Oh, yeah, I know that one. I remember that one. Yep. Number 7, This Used to Be My Playground by Madonna from the movie A League of Their Own, which we talked earlier this summer. It's our baseball movie.
Yeah, they're like, Madonna, do you want to do a fun baseball song for the soundtrack? And she's like, I'm kind of in a ballad phase right
That's right.
now. Nothing's fun anymore to me. They're all really slow, and I look, well, but can you be funny in the movie? Oh, sure, I'll be funny in the movie.
Yeah, right.
Well, then why can't you do a fun song for the? It's got to be ballad.
We're thinking something like, John Fogerty's Center Field, something like that.
No, it's actually going to be the slowest song I've ever released, and it's going to be like almost whispered.
Yeah, it's going to be
great. So there's no chance it'll ever play at a baseball game. Nope. Thanks, Madonna. No problem.
That's right. They really should have gotten something that would have been played at a baseball game.
There's not that many baseball songs. They had their opening.
That's right, yeah.
Donna in a baseball movie, and they like, okay, whatever. A forgettable ballad.
Can you put in something about like?
You already have other forgettable ballads from movies in this decade already. She's like, that's kind of my thing now.
That's right. Can you say something about hitting a home run or
No, the best you're gonna get is playground. But people don't play baseball on a playground.
That's right.
Look, I'm from Europe. Madonna, you're not from Europe.
Detroit's a very European city.
Haven't you heard my accent?
What is that accent?
Okay, I wish I was from Europe, okay? It's very clear. All right, anyway, moving on.
Number 6 is Tennessee by Arrested Development.
That's still a jam. I like that.
Is.
That's a very good song that is in a genre all its own. I wish there was 30 more songs like Tennessee by that band, but there's not really.
Yeah, not even that album, is there's a Mr. Wendell, and there's like another song on the album that's really good. Then the other ones are like, yeah, they're okay, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, just like most bands, but
right.
I guess I just kind of liked what they had going on in that Tennessee. That was a good song.
Right. The number 5 is Baby, Baby, Baby by Ooh on the TLC tip.
Bam, 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 bam.
Man, those
That's
girls,
right.
those gals were some hit makers.
They were.
Yep.
I mean, they just, everything they touched turned to gold. I can't recommend the basic cable movie about the rise and fall of TLC enough. It's great.
Yeah.
If you can find it streaming and it's late at night, preferably on like a Friday night, it is a great watch.
Let's watch it. Number 4, Achy Breaky Heart by Miley's dad, Billy Ray Cyrus.
Which I would propose, I guess, that was the song of the summer in 1991.
Yeah, that was the song of the summer.
Mm-hmm. It was the, whatever, 30 years, maybe 25 years before taking my horse down to the Old Town Road.
That's right. Which, give them props for that because, everyone was saying how it was like Lil Nas was it wasn't a country song, but Billy Ray was like, here, I'll help make it a country song and it can get nominated for a country music award.
Yeah, that was a good move.
Yeah,
I mean, it was an excellent career move.
Yeah, sure, right.
Well.
But he didn't have to, right? He could have still been,
sure.
Yeah, he could have been racist also and been like, nope. But he didn't.
I feel like Miley's kind of like just sort of chilled out now too, which I never could have predicted.
Yeah, she definitely has. Number 3 that week was Under the Bridge by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
These are some big hit songs that are popular this July on the radio. I wouldn't have minded to turn on the radio this fine July evening.
Sure, and you would be like, I don't need Crowded House. Sorry, Crowded House. I don't need your Woodface.
Well, I wouldn't have known to miss them at the time, but we're jumping the gun a little.
Number 2 is I'll Be There by Mariah Carey.
Right, which I think I said during the Legally Their Own episode that she was recording herself reading her bills or whatever at this point, and it would still be a number 1 song.
It would be a huge hit. And then number 1, you see that baby? That baby got back by one Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Wait, is this the top 10 from 1991, or is this like the playlist of every wedding I've ever been to?
Yeah, right. Especially John Cicada's wedding.
That's a good one. Good callback.
Yep,
Perfect.
thank you.
We can stop recording now.
All right.
Thank you for us. This is as good as the episode's gonna get. I called it right now.
I'm sorry for the listener if that's the case. All right, yeah, we can move on into talking about Woodface. Eric, do you want to start that conversation?
All right, sure. I mean, I don't think we can top Baby Got Back. I mean, everybody's just thinking about Sir Mix-a-Lot, like standing on those giant plastic fake buttocks that he would stand on in the like an empty blue room for that video.
Yep, that's what puts me to sleep every night. Me thinking about that.
Yeah. I think the follow-up, Put Them on the Glass, the video was people putting them on the glass, but it had to be pixelated. So that video was less popular for obvious reasons.
I know, you've always talked about Put Them on the Glass.
Well, and the video suffered the same fate as Prodigy's Smack My Bitch Up. It was rated R.
Oh, well, right, but they did play Smack My Bitch Up after hours, unedited.
Oh, I know. It was like the holy grail of television.
That's right.
It's really funny to think of teenagers like staying up late to watch a forbidden video now. Considering like you could just watch like whatever Faces of Death you want on YouTube any old day
in your pocket. You feel, oh yeah, I can pull it out
on
of
your
my
watch.
Exactly.
As you're pooping at the public bathroom.
You can watch whatever.
Okay, so we like to introduce the album with an either or, Gary, and I'll try to make this brief, uncharacteristically. Crowded House, they, as far as their U.S. popularity, they peaked quite early with Don't Dream It's Over and Something So Strong being fairly big hits in the late 80s. Very, very heavily 80s identified, I think, the Don't Dream It's Over in particular, like as an 80s song, an iconic 80s song. But that was their first album. And so, the rest of their lives as artists have happened in the 90s and beyond, obviously. But their third album, was not a hit in the U.S. Australia and New Zealand, where they're from, embraced it, as did the U.K. eventually. And so I guess either the United States was right or New Zealand and Australia had it right with Woodface, Gary.
I guess I would say I would lean more towards Australia and the UK having it right. I think there's some catchy tunes on there. I mean, there's definitely the big hit of Weather With You. I think wasn't that their big hit off of this one?
I honestly don't know the answer to that. If it was a big hit at the time or if it has sort of sneakily become a kind of a big hit. I'm sure I could look it up right now. But, I agree with you that the New Zealanders have it right. What else is new?
Right, yes.
And I think it's a great album, actually. It's got, maybe great minus.
Yeah.
Is what I would think.
It's definitely.
Or good plus plus. I really enjoy it. But my introduction to this music was actually on a greatest hits CD that I got in the early 2000s.
Crowded House greatest hits?
Yeah, I essentially.
That's a Recurring Dream.
It's Over.
Was it that? That's
Recurring Dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it had, I want to say, like 20 some songs on it. And I was like, I didn't know these guys did so many songs. Like, that was essentially my introduction to the stuff on their second and third and fourth albums. And it was good stuff. I really fell in love with a lot of those songs and still like them a lot. The best ones were on that album off of Woodface. So it's not like listening to Woodface back then was like, oh, I have to have this too. I wasn't a completist, but I really liked it a lot. And so I think this is a strong effort, a really good song, and a really good album. But the other place I was aware of Crowded House was Neil Finn was sort of a player on the point a little bit, and he would be on like kind of alternative adult contemporary type stations a little bit, and he toured by himself a little bit in like the mid to late 90s, and I was aware of some of those songs and liked them, but I didn't even know Neil Finn was the guy from Crowded House.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's sort of my deal with Crowded House. I liked them so much after getting this greatest hits. A friend of the show, Alicia Spiegel, got me their 2006 reunion album, which is actually pretty good. It's nothing with like the magic of some of the stuff on this, but it's fairly good for a reunion album. But I mean, they're good songwriters and they're good.
Well, yeah, I think it's all you're saying there, but I think it's pretty much Neil Finn. All tracks written by Neil Finn and Tim Finn, except where noted, and where noted, it's just Neil Finn. So, and this album, I believe, is the album that he brought his brother into the band. I don't believe his brother was on the first two albums. And then I think it also, so Weather With You, that's one of their good songs, and then Fall At Your Feet, I believe, is a stronger one off of this album.
Oh yeah, Fall At Your Feet is a really good song. I also like It's Only Natural. I also really like Four Seasons in One Day.
Yeah, Four Seasons in One Day is a good one.
Weather With You, my kids really liked when they were little. I remember they would prefer that song to be on. And, they just have good taste.
Yeah, sure.
They're smart kids. That's all I'm saying.
Well, okay. I mean, and yes. But I think I'm not surprised though after listing that top 10 that Crowded House really did not, even with that top 10 having Red Hot Chili Peppers and being like alternative bands being kind of a thing back in 1991. There wasn't really much space for Crowded House to be on the radio.
Yeah, and it is interesting. You're right. And I think, I don't know if I'm right about this, but I do feel like the fact that we associated their first big song with the 80s, because they had a song on the Reality Bites soundtrack, and it was from their fourth album, but I actually assumed at the time that was an old song because there were like 80s songs on that soundtrack.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, Squeeze with Tempted was on there, and
My Sharona, and it was a lot of like the 80s were these Gen X kids' childhood, so it was like nostalgic for them.
Right.
Which now you go back and it's this iconic 90s movie with all these 80s songs in it, which is strange.
Well, it does have Stay by Lisa Loeb. So that probably.
Don't forget about 9 Stories.
Oh, yeah. And it has that Ethan Hawke song.
I will not stand for this 9 Stories erasure.
Right, of course. I didn't mean to offend you in your 9 Stories fandom.
She was never the same when she stopped recording with 9 Stories, right. So she never had another hit that big.
No, that's true.
So, the rap this album gets is they screwed up the sequence of songs on it. And that's a really interesting thought because that's not a thing really anymore. But when you went to a Blockbuster Music or a Sam Goody or a Musicland and you got your new $20 CD, you're going to just pop it in and it's going to play that first song right away.
Well, I agree. Yeah, I can see Chocolate Cake's not really a good album opener.
No, it's a terrible album opener. It's barely worth putting on the album, in my opinion.
I agree.
And it's just a big, long list of insults thrown at Americans, essentially, which, I don't mind. It's funny. I don't know if you saw Eurovision, but every time Will Ferrell insults the Americans in that movie, it's very funny, especially coming from a big, lanky American.
Right.
But I have no idea what they were thinking. Or people at the record company were like, yeah, let's put the sort of tuneless weirdo song first. It's like, what? Why, guys? Why?
Right. Yeah.
You got It's Only Natural right there. You got you got Weather With You. What a great album.
Yeah.
Just do it. But that C'est La Vie, and it ended up being a beloved sort of album that I think its reputation has only grown over time.
Yeah, I think it's probably considered their best album from reading the reviews of it now. And
although my favorite song from the Greatest Hits album is from their second album, the Temple of Low Men. It's called.
That's your favorite song, huh?
My favorite song. I want to get the name of it right.
When You Come.
You'd Better Be Home Soon. It's called.
Oh, right.
I can hear it starting in my mind. And the thing is You Better Be Home Soon is a natural sort of similar type of song to Don't Dream It's Over, and I don't know why like people didn't latch onto that like crazy. Although a lot of people did, actually. I remember when I got the Greatest Hits album from my local library. I lived in Dogtown, and there was a branch of the city library like in a strip mall near there by the Kmart.
Yes.
And I got this album like browsing through the CDs at my library, which is something I used to like to do. And that one was on there, and I loved it a lot. But the liner notes were written by like the president of the fan club or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Or just some guy that was a huge fan, and he just wrote about, I guess they were something else to see live back in the day, according to this guy. But also it seems like kind of a tight-knit group of fans that kind of once they got hooked, they were really, really into them, is kind of my impression that I got.
Okay. Well, yeah, and I think, so they originally started out as just a three-piece, Neil Finn, singer and guitar player, bassist and drums. But I think with this album, they brought in Neil Finn's brother, Tim, and it probably did just expand the sound. When you add another instrument, you can do more with it, I think. So
well, particularly I feel like some of the harmonies between Neil and Tim.
Yeah,
Tim
that's
sing,
true.
And they obviously they're related, so their harmonies sound great.
Yes.
There's a lot of great singing on this album. I mean, I guess if you could take or leave Neil Finn's voice, you're up a creek. But if you like it the way he sings, like it's really great stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think I guess I was reading about it though, and it's one thing is the drummer he passed away already. He committed suicide, and so he wasn't involved in that reunion tour. I don't believe.
I didn't go to the tour.
Yeah, or the reunion
I just got
show.
the CD.
Yeah.
But I would definitely go if Neil Finn or Crowded House were anywhere near me. I would love to go see them.
I believe Neil Finn was last seen touring with Fleetwood Mac. He was taking over for Lindsey Buckingham when Lindsey Buckingham quit.
I would not go to see that.
No?
That would be the limit of my interest in seeing Neil Finn live. I want to see somebody play these songs.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if, I guess people at Fleetwood Mac aren't coming to see Better Be Home Soon.
Yeah. No, I mean, maybe he might get to open for him.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. That's weird, actually.
It'd be funny if Neil Finn opened for him and he did, like, Holiday Road.
Yes.
Yeah.
He should. That'd be very cheeky of him.
That's something I would do.
What about you, Gary? What was your reaction to, like, did you have any relationship with Woodface 1991?
I had known of it. I had known Fall at Your Feet and Weather With You. I had known those songs.
From where do you think you knew those songs?
I don't know where I knew those songs. I think Weather With You was probably played on the Point back in the day. It wasn't a big hit, but I think I had to have heard that being played on the point
I
back.
think you're right, though. It seems wrong to me that they would be on the point, but it also seems weird that they would be on any radio stations from 1991 in my memory. Like they just didn't really fit into the genres, like you said, at that moment in American music.
But I think, what the point was doing was, they had that blanket alternative. So it was kind of like, well, yeah, this is not really, it's not Nirvana or it's not grunge or Red Hot Chili Peppers, but it's still an alternative. Or I don't know if there was a video, but, growing up, I had MTV and I would watch
yes.
120 minutes.
Videos.
So
all these singles had, even Chocolate Cake, the first single, which, I don't know, maybe they made a deal with the devil. Like,
I don't know.
Situation out, but like that song sucks. And they went so far as to make it the first single and a video. But anyway, a lot of these songs that we talked about have videos. They were a video band. Don't Dream It's Over was popular because of its video play, I think, on MTV over and over and over and over and over again, which is usually the songs that we associate with the 80s, obviously.
Right.
Because nobody ever watched videos quite like they did between like 1983 and 1989.
No, it was the best. It was great. Loved it. So.
Yeah. I almost feel like you could create a subculture of people who like videos again, because like subcultures are finding each other. And I liked it whenever like there were new videos, and then there was a show where the guy talked about the videos.
That's right. And there was even
about videos.
There was even a show that gave you the behind the scenes of the videos. They gave other pop-ups talking about what was going on with the videos.
Yeah, pop-up video. Oh man. I wonder if you can watch those on YouTube. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Well, Weather With You was voted the number 16 best New Zealand song of all time.
See, I don't know if that counts. So Neil Finn and Tim Finn are definitely New Zealanders, but the other two guys were Australian. And they got their start in Melbourne, Australia. Like it was like Neil Finn moved to Australia, and that's where they got their start. So, I
think it's up to the band to claim where they're from, though. I mean, are the Beatles a German band then?
Well, no, I guess not. So. But all four of them.
I think they get just to call themselves whatever they want to call themselves. Sure. Probably there's a bit of Kiwi pride in wanting to represent yourself if you're from such a small country, Yeah,
that's true. That's true. I'm just saying, he's no. I can't come up with a Australian or a New Zealand band right now. So
that's because there aren't that many of them, which is why I think if I were from New Zealand and I was hugely successful, I might say I'm from New Zealand.
That's right. The Beths are New Zealand.
Oh yeah, hugely influential.
Yeah, exactly.
I can think of more bands from Iceland off the top of my head, and Iceland has about 300 total people that live there.
Right. Flight of the Conchords, they're from New Zealand. They're
a totally real band.
Yep. So
it's interesting. I don't know if there's a word for the mockumentary band, but like it's not like the Flight of the Conchords aren't a real band, and it's not like what's it called with Jack Black and Kyle? What's his
Tenacious
name?
D.
Tenacious D. I mean, they play a whole live show, so they are a band. But they're also not a band, just like the Flight of the Conchords. But I don't think there's like a pop culture word for that, like mockumentary or humble brag. We need somebody to name that.
Right. Lord, she's from New Zealand. Lord, she's from New Zealand, but she's not a band.
Oh, okay. No, she's not. She's a real character, though.
Yep. Song of the Summer.
The Royals?
No, Solar Power. She's got the new Solar Power songs out now.
Oh. Is that going to be the song of the summer, you think?
Yep, I'm calling it now. No, I don't know.
Okay. What was the song of last summer? I don't think I'm...
it's Hot Girl Summer by Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh, yeah. I think if I had to gun to my head, I could not even come close to saying any of the lyrics from that
No,
song.
I don't know it. I don't know the lyrics either.
I know one song by some. I knew some of the songs on the Grammys when I watched it. I probably mentioned that I watched the Grammys, and I was like, I do know kind of some of these songs, but now can put a face to the name. I'm getting up there, Gary.
No, I know. Yeah, we're. I was just thinking about that.
Doja Cat. Maybe that song by Doja Cat was the song of the summer last year.
Maybe it was, Eric.
Well, do you want to rate Woodface?
Yeah, we can rate Woodface. I think that's a good idea.
1 star would be like particle board.
Okay.
2-star would be like maybe like cork. 3 stars would be like an ash, and 4 stars would be like cedar. I would say.
Okay.
A nice cedar.
What are you gonna give Woodface?
I would give Woodface like a good solid 3.5 stars, to be honest.
All right,
which is what I said to start this conversation. Great minus.
Right, that is true. I will give it 3 stars. I enjoyed it. I listened to it a couple times, which is more than I did for the Evanescence album that we reviewed on our last podcast.
I think Woodface rewards listening to it all the way through a couple of times, and then it probably becomes a much better album when you know which ones you want to skip, which for me is like maybe 3 songs, and then it's like real great. But it's a lot of songs, actually.
There's 14 tracks. I didn't want to get into it because that's always cliche of me. But yeah, I would have probably cut a couple of songs off of this album.
Well, yeah, but it's not the thing of like the songs go on too long. It's just that a few of these maybe should have just been B-sides, and that'd have been fine.
Yeah, I mean, if they had cut some of it and tightened it up a little bit, it could have been like a 5-star. Like we only do 4-star rating, but I'm saying it could have been a 5-star album.
Less is more is what you're saying.
That's right.
It's particularly if the less refers to that stupid chocolate cake song, which go jump on a lake. And you know what? Make fun of Americans all you want. That is not my problem with the song.
No, it's
just not so great. And it's just, I mean, like, honestly, if it were hidden in like track 9 or 10, I probably wouldn't have anything to say about it. But track 1, guys, what are we doing here?
Yeah, exactly. It was a bad call. Bad choice. And
I mean, I cannot fault people that start this album and then turn it off after listening to that song, but that is not, it's false advertising for the quality of the album.
And there even is a hidden track after How Will You Go. There's like a little bit of a break, and then they do that.
And that's like the good nostalgia where it's like there's a silence for a couple of minutes.
Right. And at least it's like some songs. It's not like Beck's Odelay where it's just music for it. And it's kind of like, why did I wait 30 minutes to listen to this, Beck? Ugh.
Well, Beck would probably respond, you don't have to wait, Gary. You can fast forward.
Well, that's true.
I think he's just trying to be cheeky. You know that, Beck.
I know that, Beck.
He's your neighborhood cheeky Scientologist.
That's right. He says no on that anymore.
Oh, he's no longer a Scientologist. Right. I like Beck more now.
Yep.
Although he was raised Scientology,
he was,
right?
He was born.
So I mean, that being raised in a religion is not your fault.
Nope.
And it's difficult to get rid of some of that early programming, as I am very familiar with.
Well, that was us talking about Woodface.
Come for the deep friendship conversations, guys.
That's right.
It's gonna get deeper in the second half.
Yeah. We're gonna take a break. You can take a break. We'll be back to talk about Hal Hartley's Trust.
Family's like a gun. You point it in the wrong direction, you're gonna kill somebody.
Do you miss your kids?
Sure.
Do you hate your husband?
Absolutely.
Would you ever get married again?
Of course. Family's got to stick together. Come
Carry this with me at all times.
Hey, welcome back to my so-called podcast. I'm Eric Spiegel, still.
And I am still Gary Linton. I hope everybody enjoyed their break. We sure did.
I mean, I hella enjoyed my break.
That's right.
I don't want to toot my own horn.
Well, please don't.
But I was enjoying my break like crazy. I had 3 cookies.
Yep.
Or I will not eat anything at all during this second half of the podcast.
All right.
Many apologies for the times that I thought I could get away with it.
That's all good.
In listening to it later on, turns out I cannot get away with that at all.
Nope.
And it's very distracting.
Right. We got done talking about Crowded House's Woodface. We're going to move on to talking about the movie Trust by director and writer Hal Hartley.
We are going to move on.org.
That's right.
To the movie portion of this podcast. We're going to movieon.edu. But first, we'd like to tell you what else you could go see. You're headed on the way to Tivoli and the Loop, right?
Yep.
You're going to catch a burger maybe at Blueberry Hill and then walk down the street on a nice summer night. Del Mar is alive with energy. You're on your way to the Tivoli to watch maybe a 10 o'clock show of Trust with your friend. This is happening.
I hope you got plenty of sleep.
Greg, perhaps.
I hope you got plenty of sleep before watching that late night showing of Trust.
Hey, I watched this movie starting at like 11:15 2 nights ago, so I know what's up.
Yeah. No,
last night. If you the power went out at the Tivoli and you had to drive to like say the Esquire, this is what you could go see.
Yes.
You go see Dutch.
Ed Harris.
Yeah, that's a Christmas movie. What the hell is that doing opening in July? It's like its first weekend. It didn't make any.
And that's John Hughes, right?
Not Ed Harris. Ed whatever his name is.
Ed O'Neill.
Yeah. Ed O'Neill from Modern Family.
Yes.
The thing he's most famous for. Yeah. Modern Family is sort of like Ed O'Neill's American Idiot, if you know what I mean.
I don't know if I do.
Well, Green Day had this thing that they were very famous for kind of in the early 90s, and then they were kind of not famous for a while, and then they became famous to a new generation of people for like a totally new thing.
Yep.
So
yeah, I see where you're going.
Thanks for making me explain my joke, Gary.
Yep. Yeah, I was like, well, I don't get it.
So anyway, 20th Century Fox has no faith at all that Dutch will be a hit. It dumps this Christmas movie in the middle of July, which is not supposed to be a very good movie, so they're probably right. Number 9, City Slickers was still raking in the cash, almost up to $100 million at this point. Number 8, Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, which was also raking in the dough, $65 million. Naked Gun 2 Smell of Fear is a funny movie if you never watched the original Police Squad.
Yes.
And if you watch the original Police Squad, it is a lot of the same jokes.
That's right.
And a lot of us Naked Gun heads ran out to the VHS rental place and got ourselves the Police Squad shows, which are really funny.
They are. They're not on anything either. I wish they were on some streaming service. You would think that one of them would get them on there.
Yeah. Those were totally my jam in the day, because I also like that Sledgehammer show from the late 80s.
Oh yeah, yep, that was good too.
That's the kind of thing I really enjoyed.
The joke I always liked from Sledgehammer was his parents were named. It was Jack and Armin.
Yeah, that was a great show. I always got him confused with Peter Cetera because they kind of look alike.
They do look alike, yep.
Number 7, Point Break, previous my so-called podcast, Point Break,
yeah,
with
a long time ago.
Keanu. Yeah, we had Steve Vaccaro on. He talked about skydiving.
That's right.
Number 6, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, which was the big hit of the summer, sort of unexpectedly, maybe expectedly, I don't know. Made $120 million, was a huge hit with Gen Xers who, I guess, were back to loving Kevin Costner again for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, we should watch that. That one was one from my childhood. I always remember Alan Rickman doing such a bang-up job in that movie.
Yeah, Alan Rickman's awesome. Like, I was just thinking about, like, Owen, friend of the show, Owen Spiegel, made a joke about how, like, he was in so many things, but, like, everybody thinks of him as Snape.
Yep.
But I think if you're a little older, you think of him as Snape, and you definitely think of him as the Hans from Die Hard.
Yes.
And you definitely think of him as the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yep.
And it basically, then you think of Galaxy Quest, and then you're just like, basically he was a delight in everything.
Yeah, he was great.
Regarding Henry, which was sort of the latest entree of Harrison Ford saying, I can do more than Han Solo and Indiana Jones. I can be in a really serious movie. And as always, the American public was sort of like, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
This one in particular, there was a movie called The Doctor with William Hurt that came out the same summer and was like the two arrogant white men have a rebirth type of movies, which I don't know. I'm not sure what was going on there. Number 4, Boys in the Hood, previous to my so-called podcast. Boys in the Hood, which, is pretty much what it's most famous for, is that episode of my so-called podcast it was on.
Yes.
Number 3, Disney just printing money with 101 Dalmatians, the 1991 re-release.
They needed to let those dogs out of the vault. Who let the dogs out of the vault?
It was the Disney Corporation.
Yes.
Or were you not actually asking that?
No.
But like, if you want to say something, VHS killed something. VHS certainly killed Disney just being able to put its old movies out every few months and make a bunch of money.
Right.
Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey opened at number 2 its first weekend, but it was no match for Linda Hamilton at all in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Still at number 1. Its third week in release, just raking in the dough. I take it back. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves looked like it was the big movie of the summer until Terminator came out.
Yep.
Terminator 2 was huge. Jim Cameron. He's somebody that had a lot of talent for a period of time, and now it's sort of mystifying.
Well, yeah. He's wants to make Avatar movies, I guess.
Yeah, but extremely slowly.
Yes.
And, why not take your time in making 3 or 4 sequels to a movie that was just okay?
Right. I actually never even seen Avatar, so.
Well, I don't really think I would recommend you make a point of that.
Yeah, I don't need to.
What I would recommend is any of his earlier films.
Right. Well, I have seen Terminator. I've seen Abyss. I've seen Terminator 2. And I've talked about it on the podcast before, where I was such a big James Cameron fan. In 1998, I remember talking to my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, we have to go see Titanic and support it, because I hear it's going to be a big bomb and it's going to be a huge disaster because it costs so much money. So we did.
Yep. That'd be 1997.
That's right.
Fact checkers out there.
And
because it was supposed to come out summer of 97.
Right. But at Christmas,
it was a
97.
bloated. Yeah. Remember, this is so quaint that a James Cameron movie would go behind schedule by 6 months. I think those Avatar sequels behind by like 60 years at this point. Anyway, so we're not talking about Jim Cameron this week, although we tend to, because he has a lot of number 1 movies, I guess.
That's right.
We're talking about our friend Hal Hartley. Who is no friend of mine. I never met him before cinematically. I don't think I've ever seen any Hal Hartley movies before. I watched this last night, but that's not how we're supposed to introduce it. We're supposed to introduce it with a simple question in your format.
Eric, so the Hal Hartley making an independent movie here. That's what this is. There was the 90s renaissance of American independent movies. Wilt Stillman, Hal Hartley. Now, either this movie needed to be made because it had something to say, or no, it doesn't really. It didn't really need to be made because it didn't really have anything to say.
I feel like you're leading the witness fairly strongly.
I might be.
I think we're going to be at odds here because I dug Trust, and I am happy that it was made personally.
So let me do a sidebar.
Right.
Real quick, you had asked me, hey, have you ever seen any Hal Hartley? And I said, I'm pretty sure I saw something in one of my movie classes back in the day. I thought it was Henry Fool, but no, it was Trust. As I was watching Trust, I was like, oh no, this is what we had watched. And I had forgotten that. And I think I watched it again last night, and I do believe I've forgotten it again.
Oh, from last night?
Yep.
I don't know. So yeah, you're right. Hal Hartley is a part of this. I would say there was sort of a grouping of American independent cinema people who, yes, there was a renaissance, but I think the true renaissance, the sort of Harvey Weinstein injected, like the independent films into mainstream culture, like a few years after this.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Reservoir Dogs came in 92, which I think really started it.
And, they became huge. Whereas I feel like Hal Hartley feels like an independent cinema of a kind of a smaller scale. There's independent and then there's independent. And this feels very, very independent. But also, for me, I feel like it's strong because of that. It's odd. It's very odd. I think it's got a strange tone that is kind of hard to put your finger on because I think it keeps changing throughout the movie.
Yes.
But I think that's on purpose. Like I guess you could be. So tell me your beef with Trust.
Well, I think it's just kind of I think the tone does play a part in it. There's parts where it's clearly let's make a joke here with all of the he's a sad businessman with a briefcase and a pipe. How many of those can be? And then they look up and there's all them coming down the ladder, and with the dad slamming the refrigerator door on his head. I enjoyed that part.
Yeah. Well, he also puts his boss in a vice and walks out.
Yeah.
Fight Club, it seems like. So I will do a little bit of the plot. It's about two youngish misfits. One's kind of almost done with high school. The other one, I would imagine. So Shelley is Maria. I guess
Maria is the character's name. Yes,
but she's played by
Adrienne Shelley.
Adrienne Shelley. Yeah. So. Maria and Matthew. I think Matthew, played by Martin Donovan, he looks like he's about 29 or something to me.
Yeah,
but I
definitely.
think he's supposed to be like kind of college dropout, maybe. And he's an electronics repairman, and they sort of kind of bump into one another. She doesn't have anywhere to stay, and he's wandering around in the dark, I think.
Yes. After she was almost raped.
Oh, yeah. In a real hauntingly accurate depiction of how we know some rapes occur.
Yeah.
Sexual assaults, not played for laughs either. Though I think that one of the strengths of this movie is sort of a little bit of sort of the matter-of-factness of abortion and pregnancy and sexual assault that's just sort of a part of this woman's life. And I think the thing for me that I found to be compelling was her transformation from the first scene of the movie to the final scene. Both are long takes on her and her staring at the camera.
I was agreed. I don't think, I was worried. I was like, well, is she just going to be a manic pixie dream girl? But no, she's not. She definitely has her own internal thought process and growth and everything. So,
and actually, in a way, it sort of is about the idea of a manic pixie dream girl being false, or at least like a sex pot romance being false. Like, I think that this movie kind of challenges the notion of romance because the main characters kind of challenge the notion of the definition of romance. And I guess that's what I responded to, is that some of the themes that characters like straight up talk about.
Well, right. And I mean, that's where the title comes from, trust,
Right. Admiration, respect, and trust is kind of what he's willing to say, because he doesn't want to call what they have love, because for him that is like kind of belittling this feeling he has for her, essentially, which I think is sort of, they have what I would call kind of an authentic connection for some reason, where they kind of really get each other. And I think they do a fairly good job of showing us the beginning stages of that, even though he is a very troubled person, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
And, over the course of the movie, we are introduced to characters that seem, I would say, cartoonish. They do repeat themselves. They do sort of, kind of have one note, and it's almost as if the other characters are not full people, or they're not fully seen by these characters or experienced by them, or they're just sort of like the influence that they have on them. Like the father character of his and the mother character of hers is very similar kind of characters, in the sense of like they obviously need their child to be around, but they want to treat them badly.
Yeah.
Both of them are feeling that same feeling, and I think they're recognizing it in the other one's parent in a way.
Well,
so I think that's something that people do connect over, is like, I can see that you're going through something very similar to me, and it makes me question why I put up with this crap.
Oh, right. Well, right. And I mean, I think, at the very beginning, I'll give Hal Hartley, he, has a style. I mean, he's making this movie, like, this is a true independent movie. And it's like, he's filming it where he can, and he's doing the, interesting camera angles to make up for, I'm pointing a still camera at somebody talking for like 3 or 4 minutes. So
right.
Maybe I'll have the camera up above them, or looking at, kind of a close up, or at a little down
and
below.
All of the scenes are like in a house somewhere.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah,
I guess there's the one bar scene that was probably the most expensive scene.
Right. So, I mean,
it's all about the screenplay whenever it comes to the screenplay and the performances, essentially, when it comes to independent movies, just like a play.
Right.
I mean, it had better be good dialogue and a good screenplay and good acting. And I think we get that. I think particularly Adrienne Shelley is quite good in this.
I think she does it. She gets and maybe, because I mean, I don't know if I buy her ever as a 17-year-old. But that's
something weird about the ages here, of both her and him. But I don't know. For some reason, the sort of inaccuracies or the oddness of certain things didn't bother me because it clearly didn't seem to be happening in any kind of normal reality.
No.
There's a scene where he quits his job and leaves the. Oh no, he tries to get a second job, I think, and he only wants to repair radios and anything but televisions, you know. And they're like, but we have a bunch of televisions we have to fix. Yeah, I don't want to fix televisions. And so he leaves, and there's just a line of like 100 people all holding televisions waiting to come in. Because that's what you see is people waiting in a line to come in a TV repair shop.
Right.
So it's got some true oddness in otherworld. It sort of reminded me of a precursor to the stuff that Wes Anderson gets up to these days in his like kind of darker movies.
Yeah.
It's where it's this, you know, it's allowed to be a little off center from reality, or a lot in some scenes.
Yes.
Still having really serious things. Like I think it treats abortion very seriously.
Well, I mean, I think
in a way that's not pedantic, you know?
Right. I mean, it's obviously something that's very. I mean, that's the very beginning. Is she says she's pregnant and her dad dies, which that's a little ridiculous. There is that he drops dead right away from that, and
right. And it's like in the world of this movie, everybody just accepts that as being unusual, but almost like a Greek tragedy, like she killed him with this thing she did, which is like what the mother says, although we know that's not the case. It sort of is the case in this movie a little bit, you know. She's a murderer. She ends up sitting outside a I don't know, what is he doing in the shop? He's walking around with her, and she sits down on a park bench with this woman who's very kind.
He's not walking around with her yet. They haven't even met at that point.
Oh, really?
No, yeah.
And so a woman goes into the store, leaves her baby in a stroller weirdly out by
yes, which that
Maria
also makes
woman.
No sense why she would do that.
Right. Well, only because it advances the very strange plot.
Right.
This woman ends up stealing the baby, the one that's quite nice, and then she uses the conversation that she had with the woman to track down this baby, because she thinks it's important because this kidnapped baby is in the news and things like that. Although the movie doesn't take that seriously at all.
No. And that just kind of plays in the background. It's always kind of like just running through the background, and it doesn't ever really get.
What that feels like to me is a dream. Like you're feeling like you got to solve this baby problem, you know, and you're going to be a hero for it. Would be your brain's turning the abortion into something good, and you know, or at least like if she's going to have an abortion, she's going to save this other baby, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying that's what it feels like is a dream, that part of it, because it ends up just sort of resolving itself and not being dead, except for that he does help her with this quest, and nobody else in her world would listen to her even enough to even know that she was on a quest. And that's where their relationship takes on a meaning. It's like he says he doesn't care about anything. That's his thing. But he clearly does care about her in the way that he can express it in his dysfunctional way.
Yeah. Well, and then, he has an abusive relationship with his dad. His dad makes him clean the bathroom multiple times, and
like Cinderella almost.
Yeah.
Like it's never clean enough, and Dad's going to fly into a. It's actually a fairly accurate depiction of the kind of abuse that a lot of people suffer from their parents or from their loved ones that isn't necessarily physical. Like they do physically fight with each other, but like before that, it's clearly an abusive relationship that you can tell that it's like, you know, in a way, if it's all you have, and he obviously quit his job, so he has nowhere else to live, like he has to put up with it.
Well, it also talks about that. I mean, and I guess that's the thing, is they kind of bring on the parallels. So, he killed his mom in childbirth, and so the dad doesn't let that ever go. He kind of blames that, and she's, of course, we see her kill her dad. And so, and at the beginning, Harley's cutting the way he edited the film back and forth. It's like, oh, I'm drawing these parallels between these two characters, and it's like, yeah, right. I understand those are our lead characters, but I think just the way it was edited at that point was like, it wasn't sitting well with me. I was like, because it was like weird cuts of the scenes were cutting just to make sure you draw those parallels, and I was like, I don't know, they didn't seem as natural. Which, I mean,
it was rubbing you the wrong way.
Yeah, and there were films. I mean, and like you said, the film definitely is not natural, but then at the same time, there are, I guess, because it's such an independent movie, and it is like, well, here we're talking, and it's like you get a sense of there is just a naturalness to that kind of setup, that's just the kind of movie it is.
Right. It makes you wonder what he would have done with art direction or cinematography had he had like a Wes Anderson sized budget.
Right.
I'm talking post Bottle Rocket.
Well, even I think Bottle Rocket, it looked like they even had more money than he did to make this.
Sure, but I mean, like in Bottle Rocket, the extent of it was the yellow suits or whatever. I don't think there's as much of emphasis on aesthetics in that movie because it's more expensive to be have aesthetics like he's after.
Right.
And I would wonder if things would look a little more surreal in general if Hal Hartley had his druthers. But as it is, it's sort of an interesting it seems like normal reality in the sense of like what everybody's wearing and what everything kind of looks like. But if you pay attention, it's very strange. Like even the way that they talk to each other has a sort of David Mamet kind of a feel to it. I don't know if you've dove into some of his plays beyond Glengarry Glen Ross, but they have this very stilted way of talking, particularly when two people are talking to each other.
Yeah.
And that is what's happening here too. Sort of a flat, emotionless recitation of the lines at one another that is clearly been directed by Hartley. Like everybody does it. So even the Edie Falco, the way she talks in this movie, I didn't even recognize her.
Well, she's young. She's pretty young.
She's very, yeah. Well, when did The Sopranos start? Like at the late 90s?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So, almost a decade later from this. But, yeah. I don't know. At first, I was really worried about the Adrienne Shelley character because she has, like, big permed hair and she's putting on lipstick and she...
Oh, that's the very first shot.
With a little bit of an accent. And I was just like, oh, man, I don't know if I can watch her in this movie the whole time. But, as the movie progresses, so does the performance and so does the person. There's even some explicit talking about how they're changing one another. And I thought that dialogue was actually very interesting because then that does sort of crystallize what I think the movie's about. Yes, they have a lot in common. Yes, they feel this connection. Yes, he really wants to help and protect her. He wants to be there for her. I'm not sure they are in love, which is why neither one of them says that.
Right.
But maybe there isn't a word for what's going on between them in, popular culture, but it's still happening and it's still important. I think you could see that people would get married for reasons like this as opposed to whatever romantic things you have in mind. And whenever she goes to the abortion provider nurse, the first scene, she sits down at what looks like, in a kind of like a 1960s desk, and this woman has like a bottle of scotch there, like on this.
Yeah, that's right.
Medical history.
Right. I mean,
she gives her some scotch and she drinks some too. It's like 9 a.m. at the abortion clinic. She's pregnant by this high school football guy.
yes.
And he basically yells at her and blames her for, getting pregnant, just exactly like her mother did. And she goes in and sees sort of, she says this thing about how he was only seeing kind of my body parts, essentially.
Yes, yeah.
And maybe I'm nothing more than my body parts, and the nurse says, you know that you're more than that. And she says, I don't know anything. And that's some good writing, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I guess, it's like I said, I watched this in class, so I wasn't necessarily as in tune to watching a movie as you would, when you sit down to watch it. So, but I had forgotten I had seen it, and I think it's kind of forgettable, though. I guess is ultimately what it is, because it's kind of like it's just there's nothing. It's a kind of a nothing happens.
Well, definitely nothing happens, but well, except for the grenade explosion and the death of a father and the
right.
guy's head in a vice. I mean, you're right. It doesn't feel like any of the plot matters that much, except for the relationships do. And for me, I'm definitely all in on this relationship at least, and how, like I said, for me, the money is in her transformation over the course of the movie, just because she starts to think about herself differently, and he helps her to do that because of their connection, which it doesn't end up being, a romantically fulfilled, happily ever after. But that's okay. That's not really what they had, like I said, anyway. And she has like a different hairstyle. She's wearing different clothes. She's wearing her glasses. She doesn't have makeup on anymore.
Yep.
Like, it's very overtly, she has changed. And I mean, that definitely happens at that age, of the late teens or early 20s. And so I don't know, that version of that, almost to where, in the sort of boring indie movie like this, he would be the main character and she would be a manic pixie dream girl, right?
Right.
Like, that's a ton of indie movies.
Yes.
Whereas, with the opening and closing shot, it's clear that she's the main character of this movie,
right?
To me, and it's about her kind of coming into contact with him and what happened. It's very Titanic-esque if you think of it that way.
I won't, but it's okay.
I dug it. I'll tell you this: I am excited to watch some more Hal Hartley movies.
Hal Hartley went on to he directed several episodes of Red Oaks.
Oh, we'll see that. I already like him.
Yep,
because he made some Red Oaks. No, he has a movie in '88 or '89 called The Unbelievable Truth, which sounds good to me.
Also starring Adrian Shelley.
Well, so I'm all in. I mean, I guess it's hard to have an episode of a podcast without mentioning the horrible thing that happened to Adrian Shelley.
That's right. Yep.
After she had written and directed WoodTrust.
Yes. Yep.
She was murdered before Waitress came out. And I didn't know anything about her except for that Waitress movie, which was cute. I think that was made into a Broadway musical, wasn't it?
Yes.
But I mean, that's just a horrible, senseless tragedy. But I mean, I think that it's nice to see a fully formed sort of female performance in such a quirky indie, in my mind. And she's quite good in it. So yeah, and I want to watch some more Hal Hartley movies. I guess it's not making you want to watch any more Hal Hartley movies.
No. So we have a rating system, 1 to 4 stars. I don't have any sort of good category. Do you have any categories for the rating, Eric?
I don't know what I'm thinking of trust related,
So 4 stars is a security
financial,
bond. Yeah.
yeah, or like trust fund baby puns. I don't know. I'm tapped
No.
out. 1 star is it's not good. It's not good at all.
You-
4 stars is really great.
I think other people understand how stars rating systems work. So
2 stars is above 1 but below 3.
okay.
And then 3, I feel like you can figure out from context clues.
I would hope so. I'm going to give Trust 2 stars. I'm going to give it 2 stars.
Yeah, I would give it 3 stars.
All right.
I'll get back to you with my unbelievable truth review. A friend of mine who actually wants to be on the podcast. Her name's Erin Morrison. She's going to be on.
Erin Morrison? No, she is not going to be on.
Erin. I asked her about Hal Hartley, and she said she really likes No Such Thing by him. And she says it's about a drunken time-traveling Scandinavian monster, which,
So
that
pretty
sounds great
cliche.
to
It
me.
sounds pretty cliche.
I'd never even heard of that one, except for I think she mentioned it one other time. Henry Fool, I think, was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I think Henry
Also
Full was the
90s.
bigger one.
Yeah, No Such Thing as 2001, so we won't be able to do that for the podcast. It's got Sarah Polley in it. She plays a journalist whose fiance is killed by a monster in Iceland. I mean, I want to watch that tonight. But
All right.
that sounds like totally my jam. I want it to be Sarah Polley walks into the police station. I think a monster killed my boyfriend. And the police chief is like, yes, that there is a monster.
All right. Yeah. Yep. That's how it would go down.
Yeah, well, anyway, maybe I'll give some Hal Hartley updates. I'm not going to make you watch any of these, I suppose. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you want to help us out, rate us on Apple Podcasts, or don't. Just come back in a couple of weeks when we'll be going back to the 90s.